Hello, good morning. Welcome to JoyNews Desk. In the next hour, police rejects proposed route to be used by the NDC for its Occupy Bank of Ghana protest. Details as the NDC says it will not heed their demand. Also, South African petroleum company Petroequip fights off claims of rip-off in its accusation of an oil field in Ghana, which resulted in a standoff between board chair of GNPC, Freddie Blay, and the energy minister. We'll hear from Group CEO of Petroequip, who says benefits are spread across board for all parties as the firm prepares for its first batch of oil next month. Also, Apamprama Forest Reserve, among several other forest reserves, still being heavily exploited by illegal miners, contrary to recent assertions by the president that all reserves are being heavily protected against galamsey activities. We have excerpts from our latest Hotline documentary, dubbed Forest Siege. Some staff of the National Identification Authority are fighting off claims, but we'll be right back with details. I am Amesi Inyamiche Thompson.
Bosses sending through applicants through me to assist in registering and issuing Ghana cards. I must put on record that I never instituted that early working hours for my personal gains. I did it purposely to decongest my office.
The Ghana Police Service has rejected the route chosen by the National Democratic Congress for its Occupy Bank of Ghana protest. The police is urging organizers to use a different path and destination for picketing in the interest of public order. The NDC at a press conference on August 8 called for the resignation of the governor of the central bank, accusing him and his deputies of mismanagement. The party threatened to occupy the central bank if they did not resign after a 21-day ultimatum. Samuel Imbura joins me via Zoom with details of the statement released by the police. Samuel, what does the statement say?
Mami, the police statement says that the organizers of the protest gave the frontage of Parliament House through to Osu Cemetery traffic light, Ministry of Finance, High Court complex, to Kimbu, Makola, and Rawlings Park, as well as the Opera Square, which the protesters will end at the premises of the Bank of Ghana as their proposed routes. But after a security assessment of the chosen routes and the destination for the picketing yesterday, it drew their attention to the fact that they using their selected routes may endanger public order and public safety, among others. Meanwhile, the police has indicated its readiness to provide them the needed security to exercise their constitutional right to demonstrate. It therefore requests the organizers to change the routes and destination of picketing in the interest of public order, public safety, and running of essential services. The Ghana Police Service assures that it is waiting to hear from the organizers to enable the provision of the necessary security during the protest on the 5th of September.
Is with our political desk. Meanwhile, the minority told journalists yesterday that they had concluded their meeting with the police on their intended demonstration. Here's Emmanuel Kofi Amabwa, the deputy minority leader in Parliament.
To protest, to express our revulsion on the illegal printing of money at the Bank of Ghana and the malfeasance that has been reported in the 2021 and 2022 financial report of Bank of Ghana. Acts that has resulted in impoverishing close to 1 million Ghanaians. As law-abiding citizens, we wrote to the police service to inform them about our intention to protest on the 5th of September. We provided them a detailed route of the path that will go through during that protest. We were invited by the Ghana Police Service this morning at 10 a.m. I'm happy to inform you that we're here on time. Came with my colleagues, members of parliament. We were joined by civil society organizations, Arise Ghana, and our comrade Bernard Mona. We were received warmly by the police service. We engaged in very constructive discussions on the planned protest. I am very happy to inform you that the engagement was very cordial. The police service made some proposals to us, and we also insisted on our proposals in terms of the route we have. We concluded the meeting that we will go through the route that we have proposed. And so everything is set for our protest, which will be joined by thousands of Ghanaians to express our revulsion at the ugly and corrupt activities that has impoverished the people of Ghana. And this will happen on the 5th of September.
Well, that was the position of the minority yesterday, but with the latest from the police disagreeing to their route, we'll be getting their response to that later. And moving on, the Interior Ministry says security operational protocols are constantly being strengthened, especially along the borders, to address heightened insecurity within West Africa. Deputy Minister Nana Addo says the ECOWAS sub-region is still troubled by acts of terrorism and political instability. Nana Addo was a passing out parade of the Ghana Immigration Service and filed this report.
The second recruit intake at the Immigration Service Mid-Country Training School passed out 454 recruits. The recruits have undergone 7 months of intensive paramilitary training, drills, academics and mental preparation, courses in intelligence and investigation, as well as border security management were key in the training. These have become important as the recent coup d'etat in Niger has raised concerns about security at various borders. Deputy Minister of Interior Nana Addo emphasized the need to enhance for recruits.
That the graduates demonstrations throughout their training as they relax daily with demanding physical and mental exercise which aim at preparing them to endure various forms of pressure in the execution of their duties. Ladies and gentlemen, the region is by acts of terrorism and political instability, driven largely by coup d'etats. The efforts of these unfortunate occurrences are felt by all nations in the sub-region. In the response of this, the Ghana Immigration Service continues to strengthen operational protocols, especially along the borders, to ensure security of the nation's border.
The Immigration Service Mid-Country Training School, newly established schools for the service. Security, there are efforts to cite
the service now has 2 additional schools. These schools are Tactical Training School in Chebi, the Immigration Service Mid-Country Training School in Tepa, advanced to expand the training facilities of the service by citing extra training schools across the regions to enhance capacity building at the entry and post-entry levels.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Immigration Service has rolled out a code of conduct for officers. The service has convicted 27 officers for their alleged involvement in various offences. For JoyNews, Nana Addo reporting.
We apologize for that poor quality of sound, but let's go back to our first story where the police service has rejected the route chosen by the NDC to picket the central bank. We have MP for Boku Central, Mahama Ayariga, joining us live for some answers. Mr. Ayariga, we're grateful for your time here. Did the police communicate this information to you in your meeting yesterday?
Yesterday in our meeting, they proposed an alternative route. They wanted us to start from Obra Spot, that's around Circle, and then march along the highway from Circle to Accra Central. And then when we get to Adabraka traffic light, we should turn left, and then pass through City House, and pass through the ministry area, and then terminate our protest march at the Independence Square. And the reason was that the central bank is a security zone, and so they won't allow us to go to the central bank. To Makola Market is a busy area, Rollins Park is a busy area, and so there will be commercial activities, and they will not let us disrupt the commercial activities. And so they didn't think that it was safe to march along those routes. We pointed out to them that the arguments were not tenable because City House, which they wanted us to march and pass by, is a central bank head office building annex. So if we can go to the head office building annex, nothing stops us from going to the main building itself. Secondly, the areas that they are mentioning are areas where in the past we have demonstrated and passed through Makola Market and nothing has happened. We have demonstrated and passed through the central bank and nothing happened. And I personally participated in most of these demonstrations, and we can testify. So we didn't see why in the past we could do it, and today they will tell us that we cannot demonstrate across those routes to the central bank. So we rejected their proposal and insisted that we will go through the route that we proposed. Then in the evening, we received a letter from them, totally deviating from even their own original proposal, and then simply saying that we should start our protest march from the frontage of Parliament House, and then, march to Independence Square and stop at Independence Square. We find that very ridiculous and unacceptable. We are going to march along the same route that we have proposed, and they have a constitutional and legal responsibility to give us protection and protect all those who are along this route for us to march this place to the bank and return. They have nothing to show that the central bank building is a security zone. There's no law that determines that it's a security zone. In fact, the office of the president, the Jubilee House, which everybody can testify that at least that was the seat of government. We have protested to the frontage, and they have come out on the peace petition. So we don't see why the central bank building can be treated differently. In any case, the money is not just for the central bank, they're just the regulators. They don't keep any money there. I believe that the only thing of value there probably will be the expensive watches that they have bought for themselves. So much to the building.
But Mr. Ayariga, the police who I believe have intelligence are telling you that for the sake of public order and safety, they cannot agree to the routes that you're proposing. Why don't you agree to maybe other suggestions that they may have?
They don't have any intelligence. It's absolutely untrue. There's nothing that indicates that we cannot march along routes. So if those routes are not safe, then nowhere in Accra is safe. So if we cannot demonstrate there, then we cannot demonstrate anywhere. We have worked with them in the past. We have demonstrated and we have provided security along the same routes that we are proposing today. What has changed? What has become ungovernable about Accra that those routes that in the past we could use are no longer safe for us to use? If they say that, then they are indicting the government and indicting themselves. Because I don't see what has changed for us not to be able to march along those routes.
So you're going to go ahead with your march? on the set date?
We will march along those routes, and there's nothing that they will do that will stop us. In any case, they don't have the capacity by law to just tell us that we cannot march along those routes. If we will not march along those routes, they know what to do. And we will defend our right to march along those routes, and we will march along those routes.
How then are you going to cater for your safety if the police says that they cannot aid you because of certain reasons they're making?
We will take them on because we are taking somebody on for failing to perform his responsibilities. It is their constitutional responsibility to protect us to march along those routes, and they must perform it whether they like it or not. They are paid taxpayers' money to carry out that basic function of protecting us as citizens, to exercise our constitutional rights, and to protect others along those routes, to also exercise their businesses, their commercial rights freely. So they must perform that responsibility. Otherwise, the same way that we are taking on the governor and his deputy, we also take the IGP on and his commander, because it is their responsibility to make sure that we are able to demonstrate freely.
Grateful for your time, MP for Boku Central, Mahama Yarga there, a member of the minority who are looking forward to picket the central bank. Now, South African petroleum company Petroequip says its latest acquisition of an equal split in the interest held by GNPC subsidiary Jubilee Oil Holdings Limited is structured in a manner that will yield mutual benefits for all partners involved in the deal. Ghana's Minister of Energy, Dr. Matthew Pokuprempe, in May this year took a swipe at the GNPC board chairman Freddie Blay for offering Ghana's fields to South African company, insisting that the deal is not in the interest of Ghana as the nation will lose revenue. The minister further ordered Mr. Blay to withdraw the offer immediately. However, JoyNews is learning that the differences may have been ironed out, paving way for the petroleum company to now proceed with its commercial activities with an expected announcement of first oil production in September 2023. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Joy Blessed-Soga at the 15th BRICS Summit in Joburg, South Africa, Group Chief Executive Officer of Petroequip, Sandiswe Nkemani, noted that the South African firm is committed to the new partnership in Ghana.
Well, so the BRICS Summit is still underway in Johannesburg, South Africa, where a number of issues are on the table for discussion aimed at promoting growth and inclusive multilateralism across the world. It's the reason for which we have the leaders from Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa meeting here, all deliberating towards how the world could be a better place. But of importance to BRICS is a need for a new partnership with Africa and the need for Africa to industrialize. If that will happen, there's a need also for the continent to be powered, and energy is a critical sector that has come up in the discussions that are underway in this very building that you see right in the background. It's the reason for which we want to look at the operations of some of the actors across the continent, how they are investing significantly in energy and also attempting to collaborate with the private sector to power Africa, if we could use that expression. It's the reason for which I want to talk to the group CEO of Petroequip, Sandiswe, who has been monitoring the conversations here. They are also a critical stakeholder when it comes to powering and promoting energy across Africa. Sandiswe, greetings from Accra.
Thank you, and Akwaba.
How would you describe the engagement so far going on here in Johannesburg as part of the 15th BRICS Summit?
These are quite pivotal and I think very encouraging. For Petroequip in particular, where our mandate is anchored around security of supply in the energy sector, I think this is where we need to be. I think you've also highlighted the link to partnerships, and for Petroequip, strategic partnerships are at the core of our outlook in the short term into the long term. And I'll talk a bit more around how I see that in the context of the opening view you've shared. I think for one, as a South African entity, the partnerships that are unfolding through the BRICS countries, I think provide a strong lever. And provide a strong lever for us to meaningfully talk to the economic benefit or economic unlocking that the energy sector provides. And then we can expand that not just in the context of this country, but the region and continent at large. And I think it brings resonance to the after conversations. And a month or two was actually in Accra, attending the AfriExim annual conference, where these discussions were in themselves highlighting how, as the continent, we need to find solutions that are apt and agile in our context. And I think, again, I see this linking in very well.
There are so many connections. We'll the specifics about Ghana, how you are helping out. What we need to look at. Energy is of immense need. You go to Ghana, there's obviously a concern about how continue to generate more power and ensure sustainable supply. Here in South Africa as well, you have your own unique situation. Looking at the broader conversation and the fact that there's an opportunity here through BRICS, how will this alliance help to solve Africa's energy needs in the context of, or perhaps the story of PetroSA?
Okay, absolutely. So maybe let me talk about the story of PetroSA. So we are an integrated company, a strong presence in the exploration and production upstream, capacity in production through the refining facilities we hold in Mossel Bay. And in our strategy in the immediate term, we are focusing on growing and expanding our downstream business, which talks to really ensuring that in the immediate term we can make product available, various mix of products, but also supporting various sectors. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we remain endowed in terms of the indigenous value we have, resources, right? And I think it's important to highlight it because for PetroSA, the gas economy is quite central. And so the discussions that are underway for us need to tie back into all those elements. And we need to also think of it in the context of an energy transition, an inclusive, just energy transition. Resonate. Also mentioned another space we are focused on is the aviation sector, aviation fuels going forward. Your question is, how do we see these partnerships advancing the Africa agenda? PetroSA, we've gone and we've identified various countries we believe would unlock our going into the. We're doing that in conjunction with a clear strategy that says we have an expansion plan into the rest of the continent. And I think it's leverage each of those partnerships to ensure that the economies of scale are able to Ghana as a region are what we utilize as Africa. And additionally, in terms of our own master plans, can of existing know-how, and lastly, I want to mention that there is also a global and how and ensure a supply continent itself.
Interesting times ahead, I believe. But talking about some of these partnerships, you've been also trying to expand your frontiers in terms of your operations, and part of it comes to our doorstep in Ghana. Initially, you were having some challenges going through. What do you have to say about the story of PetroSA now, the status in Ghana? Have you succeeded in getting through to one of the oil fields?
Head of the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Joseph Whittal, has said President Akufo-Addo's recognition as a human rights defender should be redefined if he further delays in assenting to the recently passed witchcraft bill into law. The commissioner said considering the delays that the bill had already suffered, it would be unacceptable if the president fails to assent to it by the end of this month. The commissioner was speaking at a stakeholder meeting held in Nalerigu to sensitize residents about the bill.
Held at the Regional Coordinating Directorate in the capital, Nalirgu, the meeting was attended by representatives from the Traditional Authority and some selected public institutions, among other participants. It was organized by the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice as part of its efforts to educate the local population about the new witchcraft bill passed by Parliament. A bill sponsored by Medina MP Francis Xavier Sosu and 5 of his colleagues seeks to protect elderly women accused of witchcraft, making it a crime to abuse them or send them away from their communities. The Commissioner of Siraj, Joseph Wither, in his remarks explained to the participants the concept of the new bill, its purposes and sanctions for those who will fall foul. He described the witchcraft menace as dehumanizing and pleaded with the residents to reject all barbaric traditional cultural practices.
The law is clear. As soon as the law is passed, it is incumbent upon all of us to know how we speak, how we take advantage of poor elderly women, stigmatizing them, because it is only at that time it was always left with maybe the chiefs who are to determine that, the punishment. Now the state has taken control. And so even the chiefs themselves will have a problem if they do or they continue with any practice.
A bill, after several years of delays, was finally passed by Parliament on July 27th, pending the authorization of President Nana Addo to make it a law. Meanwhile, whilst the President is yet to sign the bill, witchcraft-related attacks have continued across the region. The Commissioner said it was unacceptable the delay by the President to sign the bill, and that if he fails to do so by the end of this month, his title or recognition as a human rights defender ought to be redefined.
For me, if the President, who is a human rights defender, delays more than 1 month in signing this bill, which has already delayed so long in passing, then we need to redefine whether he's actually a human rights defender. Because how long does it take to sign? It shouldn't. So the 1 month, because it was passed on the 27th July, today is 21st, we have 22nd, so we have 5 more days to a month. I would say that's unacceptable, given the problem that we are confronted with over the years.
During the discussion, some of the participants, particularly members of the Traditional Authority, staged a pushback.
It will be very difficult for some West to erase the idea that witchcraft does not exist or the practice does not exist. I don't know whether some of you understand the language within this area. I would have shown you a video, so that you hear what somebody says. If it is passed, if the president should sign it, then there will be a lot of silent killing in the villages.
We within the urban centers may be following this law, but at the rural areas, they will lynch them in silence and you will not even know who have done ABCD.
From the meeting, the Siraj Commissioner also paid a visit to the Gambaga resettlement home, where he interacted with and presented a huge donation of foodstuff to the inmates on behalf of the French embassy.
We will come back on the law, but today is to let you know that some donors have heard your cry and have decided that we should bring some support to you. This support is from the French embassy in Ghana.
He assured the inmates that measures were in place and being pursued to ensure their permanent liberation and freedom.
The food, the screening that we intend to host, and the soap and all those things that we will be presenting to you today. What is important for the Commission is Parliament passing the law that will protect them in terms of how they live their lives in this community and other communities throughout Northeast.
JoyNews can confirm some forest reserves are active with irresponsible mining, contrary to President Akufo-Addo's assertion that all reserves have been cordoned and protected. The president in January this year said the country's forest reserves are under the protection of security agencies, but a trip to Apamprama Forest Reserve in the Ashanti region indicates extensive devastation of the natural resource. Even at the time the president was making that statement, in the first of a series of documentaries titled Forest Under Siege, Erasmus Asari Donko puts the spotlight on the Apamprama Forest Reserve.
In January this year, President Akufo-Addo gave assurance that all forest reserves have been cordoned off and protected.
The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has, through the agency of the Forestry Commission, with the assistance of the military, made the effort to cordon off all 294 sites of forest reserves in the country and rid them of illegal mining.
But even at the time of making that statement, the Apamprama Forest Reserve in the Ashanti region was being pillaged by Chinese miners and their Ghanaian collaborators. Today, one cannot distinguish between the Odahun, Kobro, Abuakwa, and Benenebin sections of the Apamprama Forest Reserve. The devastation stretches deep, revealing the depletion of thousands of hectares of this major carbon filter for Ghana. This miner tells us he works for one Emilia, who we later learned is a politician. Other miners are not happy that her equipment were left out of a recent onslaught against illegal mining in the forest.
When the soldiers came, they met one of our excavators on the road and they burnt it. These equipments belong to Mama Emilia's group. She's a former women's organizer for MPP at Jacobo. We don't know why they did not burn her equipments.
The chief of Kobro, Nana Enin, tells a story of how he and his elders were treated when they confronted soldiers guarding illegal miners in the forest in 2022.
On Monday, I, my linguist, and some of my elders took a trip deep into the forest. We met a barrier manned by armed soldiers. This was in 2022. I introduced myself as the chief of Kobro and caretaker of the forest for Bekwai Paramountcy. I told them we've noticed some activity in the forest. We demanded to see their documents so we could inform the king of their presence. The soldier called the owner of the mining site on phone and told him of our presence. His boss told him to ask us whether the forest is owned by the government or the people of Kobro. We couldn't challenge the armed soldiers, so we left.
Reporting for JoyNews, Erastus Asare Donko, Kumasi.
The Economic Unorganized Crime Office has been justifying its move to clamp down on suspected stolen vehicles from the US and Canada, which are shipped to and sold in Ghana. You'd recall in April this year, Yoko directed all vehicle dealers and individuals in possession of 95 luxury vehicles suspected to have been stolen and smuggled into Ghana, which had been frozen through a court order to hand them over to the office before May 31 or face the wrath of the law. The move created lots of panic among vehicle and asset dealers, with many having to move such vehicles out of their garages for keep. The Vehicle and Asset Dealers Association has not been happy about the development and have insisted Yoko take steps back until it concludes its investigations. Well, while at that, Yoko, at a recent meeting to outline its 5-year strategic plan in executing its mandate, has further emphasized its resolve on the clampdown on the suspected stolen vehicles. Here's the Director of Operations, Abdullah Bashiru, speaking to the issue.
Yoko is a crime-fighting agency. Ghana Revenue Authority has a mandate to collect revenue for government. Now, a crime is committed in the US in Canada. And then there is crime and connecting factors. Some of the connecting factors are in Ghana. Now our collaborating partners, being the FBI among others, have requested BoG to assist. And mind you, our law allows collaboration and cooperation. The vehicles stolen, mind you, some of the victims of the vehicles are even murdered. Some of the vehicles are obtained through car hijacking. Some of the vehicles are obtained through stealing, so a crime has been committed. Now they brought in the cars into the country here. Our tax laws are said that it matters not or where the source of the vehicle or the commodity is coming from. Once the product or the commodity is within the contemplation of the law, it's obligatory for the taxman to take the duties. Whether or not a crime has been committed to obtain a vehicle or not, it's not the responsibility of the taxman. In other words, it doesn't behoove GRA to investigate to know whether a particular item being brought into Ghana or shipped into Ghana is stolen or not. The questions or the obligation on them to find out is that whether it is within the contemplation of the law. So here is a case, somebody is bringing a stolen vehicle into the country. GRA has assessed the duties and they have taken the duties. GRA has finished with this work. Now, later on, evidence come out that the vehicle is stolen. FBI, our collaborative partner, is doing the investigations in US and in Canada, and they have requested for our collaborative assistance. And then together with them, we have spotted some of the cars in garages, some being driven by other individuals. And then we confronted them. We asked them to produce evidence of possession of those vehicles. If you are unable to show evidence how you acquired the vehicle, then we ask you to follow us to our office. You come, we give you time to bring the documents and then show how you acquired the car. And indeed, when we ask them to bring the documents, we categorize them into 3 or so categories. Those who have no documents at all, or those who refuse to bring any document, they are dead. Then those that also brought documents that shows that indeed they bought them from ocean sale or some individuals in US, that category is also dead. Then those that also bought them from third parties and garages, and then they only have the custom document, they have also brought them. Why are we doing all this? So that those that are third-party innocent agencies would have noticed, then we can take them out and then proceed to deal with those that sold the vehicle to them. Those that sold the vehicle to them will also find out where they get the vehicles from. Mind you, if the thieves are in US, through this analysis or assessment, we'll be able to trace up the thieves or the suspects in US. And that is just what we are doing.
But what's the current situation with acquisition and sale of the said vehicles among the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Association in the wake of the clampdown? Clifford Ansu is an executive member of the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Association. Join us over the phone with some more answers to this. Hello, sir. Thank you for your time here. Tell us about the current situation with the acquisition and sale of the said vehicles on the market.
Thank you very much, madam. Let me say very good morning to you and your listeners and viewers as well. First of all, if this is the position of BoG, then it's indeed unfortunate. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because if you listen to even the introduction of Madam Chua before this gentleman came in, he said that if investigation is being conducted, the media shouldn't go by it and then do their publication. They should rather allow the institutions to do their investigation before publication. So it has come out with this statement now that people collaborated with other partners also in US and Canada. And as a result, people even lost their lives. And these cars were brought here. So if these cars were brought here, as he's saying, they have been mandated to deal with this crime. They have been mandated to collaborate with international partners as they are saying now, to fish out those that they suspect that these people were the people that we suspect that collaborated with people in America to commit this crime. Have they done that? The answer is no. Based on the categorization that you also stated, I mean the gentleman also stated, he said that when these cars were fixed, the people that have their documents indicating clearly that they bought them as citizens genuinely are there. Those also who went to their offices without any documents at all on such cars are also there. And then number 3, those also who bought from garages, who did not know, but rather went and bought these cars from garages are also there. What is preventing them from giving these cars to the owners? I mean, those ones that they suspect that have their genuine documents since on 9th December 2022 up to this time. When you go there, they will tell you go and come. We are conducting investigations. We are speaking with our international partners. We all know that all over the world, America and Canada, if they are not number 1 or number 2, they will be among the top 5. Who have their best, they have the best security in this world. Nothing can exit from their point without due diligence is done. What investigation and what due diligence did they do before these cars were allowed to pass through their borders? These cars are here. The car dealers that they are accusing, unfortunately, they are getting it wrong. A car dealer is sitting in a garage, and the car owner has brought the car to the person to sell. The person has no knowledge where the car was even purchased from. And when you didn't give the car to him or her, he's coming to give you the car dealer to sell. You come and pick the car. We are following you with the document. But I still don't want to, listen, even take a time and listen to us. But until I when he said that the way people's perception about Uoko is different from how they do their work. We need to go to them. If you have information, you have to give it to them. Have they also taken it upon themselves to speak to people that matter in this system? Have they taken it upon themselves to contact the person who matter in this case? At the port of entry here, our port, we didn't go there to try the car just like that. Before we do the clearing, inspection will be done by officers. Examination will be conducted by officers. What inspection do they do? What examination do they do before all those things are, done?
Right.
And the man who also just spoke, he said that the tax law does not matter. Whether the thing was even stolen or whatever for the thing, once the thing is in the country, the tax system must tax you. So do you mean to tell me that when somebody even go and rob somebody and bring it to you, you don't do any proper investigation, you don't do any proper test. And those local officers also at the harbor, what do they do there? So if the people that they are saying collaborated with people in America, then automatically, the people also here at the harbor collaborated with the people that they claim that got the cars illegally.
So, yes, so what I'd like to know from you, has Uoko engaged your members or even you on the status of their investigation and even their next line of action?
They did not engage us. We rather went to them that these cars, the way that they are, picking these cars in the Rambo side, it's not the way to go. But when you even went there, they told us that if you go and come. If you go there, they'll tell you go and come, go and come. Our documents regarding these cars that I'm talking about, that have been arrested, we send all those documents to them. When we want to verify from them, what they tell me is that we also send the documents to Canada and America to do the verification before we can get back to you here. They better put such information also in the system for people to know that it is not because the car dealers haven't made an attempt to come to them. The car dealers have been doing a lot of attempts to get back their cars just because they know that these cars were generally bought. And even if there's any issues like that at all, we the car dealers, we decided not to shoot any criminal among ourselves. If there's anybody who is within the industry doing this kind of business, or even collaborating with people to commit this crime, we are prepared to expose the person to the authorities. But once there's nothing like that, we cannot talk about that. Why there's nothing like that? You can also not say something like that. So at least we are telling them that they should also try to do their due diligence before they go for this arrest. What the information that they didn't put out there has scared so many people to go to garage. And that totally overlaps this our business these days. I mean, how do you do that? How do you say that when people are even going to buy a car from garage, they should check from them and then check from the relevant institution before they buy? Who say that?
Yes.
If you think that maybe you are exposing your people within the system to the other people, what do you think that is the best way? You are really exposing your weaknesses also that you also don't do your work well. That is why this expose is coming out. Because nobody is prepared to expose locals, mistakes and other things. So if the people in the system are not doing the right thing, then those of you, the officers who also supposed to do the right thing, are also not doing the right thing.
So, Mr. Ansu, briefly, because of time, I just want to know from you. So now that investigations are still ongoing, though, but your members, you disagree with what Yoko is doing. Your members, some of them packed away their cars or the luxury vehicles that they were selling. What's the update on that, too?
The cars are still with Yoko. We haven't given it to us. If you go there, they tell me that, we are doing investigation. We don't know the time limit that they've set for themselves to finish with this investigation.
Right.
We don't know.
Right. We're grateful for your time. Mr. Clifford Ansu is executive member of the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Association. And, of course, that brings us to business. We'll be right back, and business will take it from there.
Hi there, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. In an increasingly interconnected world, ensuring the safety and security of nations, businesses, and individuals has become paramount. It is for this reason that Israeli Economic and Trade Mission and its partners held a business seminar to introduce the relevant stakeholders to a technology ecosystem that tackles all security issues. Here's more in this report.
The Israeli Economic and Trade Mission, in collaboration with the Ghana-Israel Business Chamber, organized its maiden Israeli Homeland Security Business Seminar. The Israeli Homeland Security Business Seminar aims at enhancing Israel's partnership with Ghana in the homeland security sector. Yaniv Tessel is head of Israeli Economic and Trade Mission to Ghana.
Experience that we have from enforcing and building a very strong Homeland security ecosystem in Israel. We want to bring it to Ghana, share our experience and finding partnerships. We realize that now, though Ghana is a very peaceful country, looking at the regional and sub-regional developments, Homeland security becomes even more important than usual. We've met the two most important agencies in terms of Homeland security. We've been hosted by the Ghana Armed Forces. It was a very instrumental meeting, and also by the Ministry of Interior at the police headquarters. So we've showcased the solutions that we believe could be relevant for topics like counter-terrorism, border control, crime, anti-fraud, and more.
Among many other things, the business seminar will promote Israeli technologies that can enhance Ghana's security infrastructure and provide high-end solutions for border security, maritime security, cybercrime, illegal mining, and human trafficking. Here are some Israeli businesses present at the seminar.
We are already working with Ghana. We have a client over here under the name of GIFEC. We are providing extended coverage for cellular backhauling for the rural areas. We are looking for expanding the cooperation between Ghana and Israel for having connectivity all around Ghana.
What Real-I does, we have a profiling tool that looks to extract and identify problems at the border. So the number one objective for us when we're talking about a country that has the potential to attract a lot of visitors, potential migrants, tourists in the future in due course, one of our primary objectives is to help with the efforts of identifying and extracting threats and potential problems in the form of passengers that are fraudulent passengers or individuals, criminals and so forth that are wanting to travel and reside in the country or visit the country under a false pretense.
We see Ghana as a peaceful and nice market, but as we see the recent progress in the north part of Ghana, we came here in a delegation of HLS to provide total turnkey solutions that Ghana will be keep quiet and peaceful for the rest of the days to come.
Through this forum, the Israeli Trade and Economic Mission hopes to foster meaningful partnerships, especially within the government sector, to create a peaceful and prosperous environment for all Ghanaians.
And that's it for this segment. The news continues after the break.
A staff of the National Identification Authority has petitioned the governing board of the authority to review and reverse the grounds for its dismissal. This is coming barely a week after the NIA dismissed 10 of its staff for abuse of their office. One of them is Martin Akoria, who says his only crime was reporting to work earlier than usual to register the usually overwhelming Ghana card applicants. Michael Ashali has more.
The National Identification Authority has dismissed 10 staff members following investigations into allegation of misconduct, extortion of funds from Ghana card applicants.
Excerpts of a statement from the National Identification Authority announcing the dismissal of some of its staff for misconduct, extortion and manipulating the registration system for personal gain at some of its offices, including the Lankwantana Municipal Office.
The allegations against the dismissed officers included demanding and accepting unauthorized fees from Ghana card applicants, as well as manipulating and registration system for personal gain.
Some of the affected people are fighting off these claims.
We end it here for JoyNews Desk. I am Amisi Nyamiche Thompson. Thanks for your company. We'll be back at midday with news today.